How much do you know about the history of Tetris?
Well, I mean, there's the 4 or 5 blocks. They go up and down. It first came out on the Game Boy.
They go up? What the hell? What the hell Tetris are you playing?
It's not that you press up to make them go down.
Yes,
that's the thing I know. Like that Daft Punk song I was pretty sure was about Tetris. You got to get up to get down.
You got to press up to go down. Everybody knows that.
I know it's Russian. Mm-hmm. And I know that the NES cartridge was like a bootleg, non-officially published by Nintendo one. And I'm sure there's some drama there, but that's pretty much it.
Well, there's 2 of them. There was the official Nintendo put out an official Tetris themselves. Oh yeah,
that Tengen one wasn't the only one.
The Tengen one was the bootleg one, or not bootleg? No, unlicensed is the term.
Yeah, they did not have the Nintendo seal of approval.
Yeah, did not have the seal of quality on it, which seal of quality maybe doesn't mean today what it did then.
Look, when I was 10 years old, there was nothing in my life more important than that seal of quality.
Yeah, no, the Nintendo Tetris that has Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairies as the background music. You never play that one?
I do. I mean, I played on a Game Boy.
Well, that's the Game Boy version. The Game Boy version is its own thing. The NES Tetris had no 2-player. It was just single-player Tetris. So, there was not much there, but it had good music. I
do not believe that I ever played the Nintendo. The Tetris I played always had the weird black cartridge.
So you had the Tengen one then?
I did not have it, but my friend who I played Tetris with had it. Yeah.
Man, the history of the NES and perhaps the history of video games would have been so much crazier if Tengen had won that lawsuit.
Right? Because then everybody would just be publishing games for every platform with no... Yeah.
If the legal precedent had been you can just make games for a console without the approval of the console maker, like what?
Well, it would have been real weird until about 2000 when the encryption got good enough that they were never going to bypass it. Yeah. Unless somebody made a mistake.
Yeah. Anyway.
So what's up with Tetris? Is that movie real? I saw that trailer and I was like, what the hell is going on with this? Is this a true story?
That's what I was going to ask, if you were aware that the history of Tetris included some taut spy caper thing.
No, I didn't know that.
I don't know how embellished it is. I'm guessing at least a little bit, probably a lot.
I am intrigued. It's coming to Apple TV, I think next month, that movie. So we don't have to wait very long.
Yeah, I guess we should say there's a movie called, I believe it's just entitled Tetris, correct?
It is called Tetris. I thought it was going to be about the blocks, like the drama between. Also, did you know that the Tetris blocks have names?
Long and T?
No. In the NES Tetris manual, they gave them names.
Okay. Go on.
Orange is called Ricky. Blue is also called Ricky. The straight line is Hero. The plus, the T is Tiwi. The square is Smashboy. One is Cleveland Z is the left facing. Is the Z.
Are you talking? I know it's early in the morning here, but are you fully awake?
Yeah. Look, I'm not having a stroke or anything. I saw this on the internet, so it has to be true. That's how this works, right?
Apparently, in 2019, this was a Jeopardy question, or a Jeopardy answer, I should say.
Wow.
The 7 rotatable blocks used in this video game have names like Orange Ricky, Hero, and Smashboy.
Yeah, that's it.
Boy, have I never been more excited for an episode title than this.
I'm really excited to see whether you go with Orange Ricky or Smashboy, to be honest.
Dude, how about both?
When Orange Ricky meets Smashboy?
I don't know what is up with that movie. Who's the American dude? Is that
Taron Egerton?
No. I mean the character, like the real life figure.
Steve Tetris. Yeah.
Steve Tetris, of course.
Yeah, Steve Tetris.
I barely know the lineage. I mean, I know obviously Alexei Pajitnov created the game, but that was still in the Soviet Union, so I don't know. The movie will come out. My very, very loose understanding is he did not benefit from that game for a while.
Or for a really long time.
But I think I think things are good now. This
is a Matthew Vaughn joint. Matthew Vaughn famously makes Kingsman. Has a friend who has a lot of money who finances his movies, so he doesn't take notes from the studio at all. I don't know if this is done under that same deal. But Apple TV, the press release that they said, this is what they say: Tetris tells the unbelievable story of how one of the world's most popular video games found its way to avid players around the globe. Hank Rogers, Henk, discovers Tetris in 1988, then risks everything by traveling to the Soviet Union, where he joins forces with inventor Alexei Pajitnov. to bring the game to the masses. Based on a true story, Tetris is a Cold War era thriller on steroids with double-crossing villains, unlikely heroes, and a nail-biting race to the finish.
Okay. You know what? I'm just going to say the words Tetris thriller, and then I think we just have to end this cold open.
Welcome to Brad and Will Made a Tech Pod. I'm Will.
I'm Brad.
I can't get this out of my head, Brad. Smashboy.
What? Smashboy.
In another world, imagine if once upon a time a young group of men were reading the Tetris manual and like, man, this would be a great name for a band, Smashboy.
It's not bad.
And then like, hey, now I'm an all-star was written by Smashboy instead of Smash Mouth. Think
Honestly,
about it.
Orange Ricky, not a bad band name either.
Orange Ricky, pretty good. How are you doing this week?
I'm doing fair to well. How are you?
I would I gotta say, Brad, all the games that I like playing have gotten very hard this week. For reasons that are unclear to me, and I don't exactly. The meta has shifted, and Fortnite has become very, very sweaty, and also Warzone DMZ has gotten very, very sweaty. And I don't like Warzone DMZ is a game that you mostly play against computers, so it shouldn't have gotten like they made it sweaty. They didn't. It doesn't have to be sweaty. I'm so scared. But other than that, I'm fine.
You want sweat? You should check out Marauders.
We tried played Marauders at work a few weeks ago. Oh no, we haven't played that yet. We bought it, but we haven't played it yet.
Marauders is some shit.
Is it good?
It is. It's very cool. I like it a lot. It's brutal.
It's like a space extraction thing, right? You break into a spaceship and then you have to fly out like Tarkov style.
It's full on Tarkov DMZ extraction style thing, except you start in a spaceship. There's a little bit of like a Sea of Thieves to it.
Ooh,
because everybody starts on the map in their own ship, and there are different things to man on the ship or to pilot. You know, like somebody's got to fly the ship, somebody's got to man the turrets, somebody's got to like deal with engine problems when they arise. You can bail out in an escape pod and crash into somebody else's ship and board them.
What?
But then everybody is racing to get on like the big space station. So once you're all on there, then it's a bunch of PvE, VP stuff.
When you extract, you don't go back home and take your stuff with you. You go to another ship, or is it like you bounce from ship to ship? You
get back on your ship and exit the map.
Okay,
basically. But your ship can be destroyed. Ships are expendable. Like you can get better ships than the default one, but then they can be destroyed or taken from you.
Wow.
The time to kill is just brutally short.
Okay. I like all of this so far.
It's very cool. I think you really have to have a masochistic streak to enjoy it, though.
Yeah.
I definitely do.
Did you play Dark and Darker during the Next Fest?
No, we were hoping to do that, and then we were not all there for the stream that week, but we'll get back to it.
It's the same kind of thing, but medieval. It is real early though, I would say.
Okay. I really wanted to try it. It was the number one game on the Steam Next Fest. I really wanted to try it. But
I have friends on my Steam friends list who put like 30-40 hours into it over the weekend. And I'm like, damn, that's got its hooks. I played it a little bit. It is really like they made some really weird choices. Like it's really neat. It's really hard. It's very scary. The fact that every player on your team has to find a different portal to escape from is a really interesting choice, because it's like you can't like whoever the last person is.
That's awesome. That feels like that almost should be. I mean, it's easier to justify with like some magical reason or whatever, but like that almost feels like that should be the default. Make exits like an expendable resource to be competed over.
But I mean, I feel like on a team, when you can go in as a team, you should be able to leave as a team, right?
Oh, every individual player?
Every individual player.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant every team got their own. Oh, wow.
Every team having a different exfil is totally cool. Yeah, I get that.
That's maybe a bit much.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, look, they're early. It's not even out. It's not even early access. It's just them releasing betas and collecting data. So like they're good on them. It's a cool thing.
Is this the first like next trendy phenomenon mode since Battle Royale? I mean, I know this is kind of a derivative of Battle Royale in a way, but like,
I mean, these are about Battle Royale vibes in a game that more than one person can win, right? Like the knock against Battle Royale is you put 100 players in a game and only one of them can win, right? And realistically, you want players to win like players need to win in order to feel engaged. A lot of people more often than that. So yeah, these are like the Tarkov fast follows is what we're seeing now.
Yeah. But what I mean is like, okay, so like MOBAs were about 10 years ago. Like MOBAs blew up and were the thing for a while, and then battle royales came in the wake of PUBG. Like, is this the first like next big thing since battle royales? I think it is. I can't think of anything else that has blown up like this.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Vampire Survivor. Actually, I should say Vampire Survivors type. I don't know what we're calling those. I'm kind of I'm warming up to the phrase bullet heaven.
Oh, like a reverse bullet hell. I get that. That makes sense.
Anyway, like I am super into the extraction type of game, and if that's going to be the thing, if that's going to be the thing that like everybody is trying to take a stab at next, like that's exciting to me because I would like to play a lot of those.
I mean, the ones that I have played so far, I don't like. The tension is delicious in a way that early PUBG was, and none of the other battle royales have ever really been.
I like, even though my performance in Marauders was catastrophically bad, but it was still very exciting. Like I just ate shit over and over and over, but I still wanted to keep playing it because it was so tense at all times.
Yep.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Welcome to our video game podcast.
Yeah, Brad, you need another video game podcast. So next week we're talking about something that had an embargo on it, and
also you'll be at DICE for most of next week.
Also, I'll be at DICE for most of next week. Yeah.
So a bunch of scheduling factors have converged.
Yeah.
To move the Q&A up a week.
Yeah. So we're going to talk. We have questions. What we are going to turn into answers.
Yes, it is true.
If you have a question and would like to submit one for us, you can do that by going to your email client and typing in techpod@content.town. Again, that's techpod@content.town. Or if you're in the Discord, you can just mosey on over to the question seeking answers channel and type something into the void there. It'll disappear in a few seconds. And then we'll maybe read it on the next email. Or if you're cake batter, you can post 30 of those. So that's right. There are options. There are multiple options.
Quota to fill. Clearly, I
like to think that it's just like a way to store random thoughts. There's a couple people that use it as just like here's an aside, the non sequitur channel. So yeah.
Here. Okay, let's just.
You want to jump right in?
Kick it right off. Did you check the email inbox?
That is a good question to ask now as we're starting recording. No, I did not, but I'm going to look at it right now real quick.
Okay. Should I fill or should I just start reading? This is
you go for it.
Let's focus here because this is important. We have the rare follow-up. We have someone coming back and answering their own question.
Ooh, I like that. That cut us out of that helps everything.
It's console command. It's the person who was asking about roasting the weed coffee.
Oh, look, I don't like to use the word hero lightly, but weed coffee, man, combine two very good things together. Let's hear how it's going.
Would you need to put some like butter or something? Don't you need some kind of fat? Isn't it supposed to be like fat soluble?
Coffee exudes oil theoretically.
Oh, that's true. Okay,
there is a little bit of oil on the outside of the beans when it's roasted. Okay. So yeah.
All right. I roasted the midnight special. Results are as follows. I'm just going to read this as written here. Hopefully it'll make sense. 1 gram full bud from first crack. That sucker rolled around and came back out in the end about 75% intact. Little smoke didn't affect the roast. Waste not, want not. I still hit it. Didn't elicit any characteristics that it had been roasted with coffee. A little harsher is all. 1 gram crushed. Introduced moments from second crack, aka get that roast on a cooling tray stat. Does any of this make sense to you?
Yeah. So when you're roasting coffee, their cracks are like those are the signs that the internal temperature, I think, of the beans have reached a certain point because the shells actually pop. Okay. And you can I've never done enough roasting to be able to hear it, but you can tell like first crack is when you do like a light roast. So if you want like a lighter or like a third wave fancy coffee roast, you do that. If you want Starbucks coffee, I think you do second crack and then some. Like the darker the roast, the further after the second crack they go.
I love learning esoteric jargon about weird.
Brad,
it's not a weird hobby. What's the word I'm looking for? This is a very specific hobby.
Look, when we're both retired and have a lot of free time, we're going to go to the coffee convention and we're going to just walk around and drink coffee and talk to coffee roasters all day.
the coffee convention and whiskey convention are the two things I would like to go. Well, maybe pizza convention also, but like not to be clear, I'm not talking about drinking coffee and whiskey at the same time, but either or. But it's like those are two things where a little goes a very long way. Yeah, and I'm just wondering, like, what is it to go to like an all day thing and sample this stuff that you're supposed to maybe not drink that much of at once? Well, how are you feeling at the end of the day at the coffee convention or the whiskey show?
It was the coffee convention at the end of the day was bad. Like Joey and I had to go to the bar, and when we got to the bar, all of the coffee people were there and they were getting really drunk so they would have a chance of sleeping. It seems like. So
sure. I could believe that. Also, just bring some heavy duty sedatives.
Yeah, the coffee people like to throw down too, I think. So okay, so
fair. Okay, all right.
Did the coffee make him high? That's the question.
Okay, well let's get into. Okay, so the previous one was about the full bud. I think he just threw an intact bud in there.
Yeah.
Okay, 1 gram crushed. Introduced moments from second crack, also known as get that roast on a cooling tray stat. Fan on low. Flash of smoke. Seemed more promising, but didn't take. Neither roast shows any sign anything unusual took place, either smell or appearance. Trying my first cup in the morning after letting it rest the week, but not expecting much. I'll report back if it makes me mad high, but I doubt it. Not surprised, but now we know.
I bet there's not enough fat on the outside of the coffee to catch the good stuff.
Yeah, that's what I meant about the butter or something.
Yeah.
All right, thank you for look, you've done a public service.
I've got a real good email here,
okay,
Brad.
All right.
Ryan writes in and says, "Hey, Brad and Will, do you employ any strategies currently for to-do lists? I feel like I've tried everything and it just never sticks. Todoist, Trello, Field Notes, Google Keep, Google Tasks, who knows what else. I just feel like I try to use it and it's more work to remember the list. Always be testing. Yeah, that is a common. So I have to use to-do lists because if I don't, I will forget things at this point. I have too much going on at any given time.
So I'm very much like this questioner. I've tried numerous methods and I end up in the exact same place. If it just feels like maintaining the to-do list just feels like another task on the to-do list, if that makes sense. And also the other thing is I have a hard time sticking with them. So I end up with I've got just a plain text file with notes in it. I've got in my email client, I'll star stuff to try to keep up with it. I'm very inconsistent and don't centralize.
So I have two prongs of attack. One is that I use the reminders built into iOS just for me walking around and suddenly remember something that I have to not forget.
Okay.
So I usually set those with a timer for a time that I know I'll be sitting at my desk. And I do those almost all exclusively with Siri. So I say, do the hey Siri, here's some business. Remind me on Monday at 9 a.m. No, don't actually do that, Siri. Fuck off. The phase 2 of this, so a few weeks ago I talked about my note keeping technique, which is just a bunch of flat files in a Dropbox folder. And I do a new one every day. And sometimes I do ones for special things that I'm going to work on for more than a day or two. And people were like, hey, if you're using that, you're going to really and then everybody sent me their own favorite thing. So I've been going through those things that people sent in. And I think the one I've settled on is probably Notion.
Okay. Is Obsidian another one that somebody sent?
Obsidian is one. Obsidian has cross-platform problems.
Because I had been looking at Obsidian, thinking about trying it, but I've heard of Notion also. Maybe I should give that a look.
So there's the range on this. We probably should actually do a whole episode about these because there's a lot of interesting stuff there.
Yeah, that would be good. Actually, I have a pretty good memory, and in the past that has been enough to keep everything in order. But I'm kind of juggling enough information at this point that it's just overwhelming. Whatever mental faculties I have. So yeah, a whole episode dedicated to getting yourself digitally organized would probably benefit me a lot.
For me, it's more that I context juggle enough between the two podcasts and the day job and the stream and my family stuff. You lose context for one thing or the other if you don't write it all down.
It is. Yes. Context switching is a whole thing I have found as well.
But so the neat thing Notion is there's a range on these between lightly featured and fully featured, and lightly featured are more akin to old Simple Note and stuff like that. Obsidian is kind of on the lightly featured end. The Notion end is more of a corporate tool, but it does things like you can make a Trello board style to-do list where you have like your personal list and the stuff that you're working on currently. And like, you can make lists of lists and stuff like that, which is really nice. But the neat thing is, because it's mainly for note taking, like I take my work notes in there. And then if I have a bullet in the work notes, that's like, hey, here's stuff. Hey, I have to write patch notes for an update for the game. I make the bulleted list of the patch notes in my meeting where I'm finding out what all is going into that patch. And then I just drag that over into the to-do list and it becomes a to-do list item automatically. And then when I have time to go work on that, I just open that to-do list and it's there and I check off the things as I go down.
Wow.
It is. So, but at the same time, you can export to like, I mean, you write in Markdown. So anything that reads Markdown, like WordPress or whatever, just works with it. You can just copy and paste into it. The one thing it doesn't do is Steam's weird version of Markdown. I bet that there's a plugin for that because I always have to reformat the patch notes on Steam, which is a little bit of a bummer. But anyway, it's Notion is the one I've settled on. I tried Craft. I tried Obsidian. I tried a couple of the other Simple Note, like the Simple Note clones.
Yeah. Clones, not like, clients that
like
hook into Simple Note.
They're like the successors.
Okay.
Simple Note.
I still kind of use Simple, like Simple Note is a nice, simple service, as the name implies, but like in probably 10 years of using Simple Note, I have never found a client on any operating system that I really actually like. They're all janky as hell, and I don't know why.
That was my experience with Simple Note. I also lost data on Simple Note once, and I as a result, I'm less keen on it.
Not cool. So yeah. I can't speak for like Notion or Craft, but I know Obsidian just works with your existing cloud storage. And I feel like that's probably the way to go at this point rather like Simple Note is cloud storage for text, but I think I would rather just have something that hooks into my Dropbox or OneDrive or something like that and just manage basically just an interface to the files that are stored in my existing.
So that's Obsidian stuff. Notion uses its own backend, which is why but like I said, it's like, you can do a free personal account. You can also, like, a lot of game studios actually use Notion for their bug tracker and their long-term planning board. Like they use Notion in a way that small studios mostly, just to be clear, but they use Notion in the way that you use Jira and Trello and Confluence or Wiki or whatever to keep your documents and share them across the whole team to do your documentation and stuff like that. So yeah. Like probably this is also going to be influenced by the fact that I think we're going to switch to Notion at the studio
as institutionally. I'm looking real quick because of course I am for any open source alternatives to this problem.
There's a ton. There are, like, when you go to the alternatives 2 page for Obsidian or for Simple Note, there are literally dozens.
Do you endorse that site? Are you talking about alternative2.net?
I use it as a hey, here's what is out there. Yeah, it's pretty. Okay. I find it to be up and down based on the category and how popular the category is. Sometimes they miss the point of the app, especially for stuff that's like more Swiss Army knife apps that do a lot of things. Sometimes they get the wrong part of it.
Yeah,
but generally it's pretty good.
I also just discovered open source alternative.2. Which
I haven't seen that.
I'll put some time into this and see what they're. Yeah, I mean, these things are only as good as the data that is submitted to them. So
I've got another email if you want one more.
Sure.
Kosher Bacon Jam says, let's talk about cake batter for a minute and not the curious questionnaire we all know and love here on the Tech Pod. What is your favorite kind of cake? Personally, I'm a classic yellow vanilla with fudge swirls. What about you two? What are our thoughts on red velvet? Is it just the misunderstood middle child of the cake world?
Yellow vanilla with fudge swirls.
Sounds pretty good, actually.
Wait,
it's like a marble.
They're not describing yellow cake as being vanilla flavored, are they?
I think they're saying it's yellow icing? Plus vanilla.
Okay, like vanilla. Okay. Sorry, what was the other one they mentioned? That's
red velvet. I think red velvet is just a chocolate cake. That's my hot take. The chocolate cake with bad icing. I don't like red velvet particularly.
Okay, you want a hot take?
Yeah.
Here's my hot take. I don't love cake.
Wow.
11 times out of 10, if you let me choose between cake or pie, I'm going to pick pie.
Well, I mean, that's a no. Pie is clearly this is why we're friends, right?
I don't hate cake, but I don't know. There are not a lot of cake.
Pie has a delightful ephemeralness that you cut open a pie, you've cracked the seal on that thing. You got a limited amount of time to hork that down. Mm-hmm. I look, the cake, I make a sour cream chocolate cake that's pretty good.
Okay.
It's like the right amount of chocolatey. We have a slice of ice cream with it. Scoop ice cream with it. It's pretty good.
You're reminding me I've had some sour cream or like cream cheese type cakes in the past that were quite good. I mean, are we basically just getting into cheesecake here?
Look, if you get down to it, if you give me the choice between any other cake and pretty much any, like a lemon cheesecake, man, I will go ham on a lemon cheesecake.
Yeah, I would take a cheesecake over a regular cake any day of the week.
I like a cupcake though, too.
Is cheesecake actually just a cheese pie?
No, cheesecake's cake. It has flour.
Is it? Does it?
I don't know. I don't know.
The consistency feels much more like a lot of pies I've had does a cake, but anyway.
I mean, it has a crumb. It has yeah, I don't know. Gina makes the cheesecake in this family. I don't know that I know how to make a cheesecake actually. But yeah, anyway, I think we can all agree that cheesecake is really good and that pie is better than any cake. The end.
Yes.
No more need to converse about this in the future. No
offense to cake likers.
Yeah.
Or cake batter. All right. Shall we return to the Discord questions? Yeah. Okay. This one is exciting to me. I had not heard of this. This is from TK. What are your thoughts on Pubnix or tilde communities? Some background if you're not aware. Public Unix, that's where the term Pubnix comes from. Public Unix or tilde communities are communities where people have set up a publicly accessible Unix system, often Linux, for people to register for user accounts on. The users can host low-impact websites or Gemini capsules, which are a kind of more modern, easier-to-use Gopher, I guess, is how they describe this. They can contribute to discussion on forums, maintain a plan file, or use the Pubnix for email, all from SSH. One that you may be familiar with is SDF. I was not familiar with that. That's sdf.org.
I had no idea this was a thing, and I'm very excited about it.
That's seriously. So I went to sdf.org. First of all, it says copyright. What? You can just go to sdf.org/welcome to see this. It says copyright 1987 to 2065.
Wow.
I don't know can you pre-register copyrights?
You can't copyright into the future, but I think that's a Unix timestamp joke, isn't it?
Maybe. Well,
is it 2065? One of the
the Unix time epic thing is 2036. I want to say, but yeah,
we have 11 years, 12, 13 years to fix that problem.
Anyway, I started to say this webpage looks like it's from the early 90s, but sure enough, copyright 1987. Anyway, SDF, I guess, stands for Super Dimension Fortress, is a networked community of free software authors, teachers, librarians, students, researchers, hobbyists, computer enthusiasts, and the oral and visually impaired, is operated as a nonprofit 501c7. Anyway, this is very exciting to me.
Brad.
Yes.
Look under the make a donation button. It says SDF uses DEC alphas and AMD Opterons running NetBSD TOPS 20 and Symbiotics Genera. That is fantastic. I haven't like even the new hardware there is still 15 years old.
Yeah.
Do they still make Opterons?
I think I don't know. No, the Opteron has been long supplanted by
when the Ryzen
Epic
stuff went away, right?
Well,
yeah, like the Ryzen.
Well, no, Ryzen is the consumer desktop part.
Yeah, well, I'm saying the socket, the whatever. I can't. The Zen stuff replaced Opteron, right?
Yes. Well, so Epic EPYC is how it's spelled. Is AMD's big Xeon competitor data center part. There's also Threadripper, which is kind of a consumer prosumer. Anyway, I think I've said this before, but the Deck Alpha was to me was the prototypical big iron CPU.
Oh
back in the day.
They ran so hot. The coolers on a Deck Alpha machine were 6 inches tall. They were the air coolers. Wow. They were ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah. I know I've said it before, but I remember id Software talking about buying a giant multi-deck Alpha system to crunch their light maps on in the Quake era. Anyway, the reason this is so exciting to me is that I'm trying to think how to say this. I'm almost kind of sad that computers have gotten so good that the multi-user component of Unix is kind of unnecessary now. The whole reason Unix was a multi-user system is because computer time was so valuable and limited, right?
Well, yeah.
Like you were on a mainframe and you had to have your own account because there was only one computer, right? Or everybody was sharing a machine. And like, obviously Linux runs on your phone now, it runs on anything now. Like
I could set up a multi-user machine on a Raspberry Pi and give it accounts to all the kids in my daughter's class. No problem.
Right. Yeah. Right. Like, or I mean, I like the multi-user environment obviously still has its uses for like security. Like obviously you want to make a bunch of unprivileged accounts to run your services and not run things as root. Like there's still utility there, but like the social element of everybody has accounts on this system and it's all kind of one big community, sort of like the plan file.
Yes.
You make a new user account in any modern Unix, it still asks you for like room number and phone number and full name when you're setting up the account. Like the idea, like it just this weird legacy thing of like, oh man, you were putting your office number in when you made your Unix account because people might need to know where to come physically find you on the campus at some point. Like it's and the plan file again, it's like such a cool social thing.
Did you work with those computers enough to like have the thing where somebody hogged cycles and brought the whole system, slowed the whole system down?
No, I didn't touch any of the stuff until way after that would have been an issue.
Because that was a thing that used to have, like on the VAX or on the Unix machine and shared across the campus, somebody would like they'd download and run their own MUD that would then get 1,000 people connecting to it, and it would bog down the whole system, and the admins would have to come out and post a message to everybody and be like, hey man, we found a user that was overusing resources, whatever, we've throttled them, please don't do this. Is one of the new rules.
Did you get that as a system message in your shell? Like, have you ever been
as a system message in your shell? Yeah.
Oh my god.
See, it would be in your inbox sometimes.
Okay. Like like different stuff, like different background stuff you run will still send like system messages, like network UPS tools will. Any system that's connected to it, if the UPS goes down, you'll get a big fat like lost connection to UPS in the terminal. But like the idea that actual admins were typing messages and sending them out network wide is so damn cool to me.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I gotta remember. I can't remember. I feel like the VAX. Well, maybe both of them, when you would log in, would pop up with hey, you have 7 new messages, and those messages would almost always be like admin messages about downtime and stuff like that. Like, hey, we're putting new hard drives in the server. It's going to be down for 2 hours at 2 a.m. on Tuesday, blah, 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 stuff like that. Make sure you save your running processes and all that.
Right. I've mentioned before, the closest I ever got to that was in school. When I got to college in like 97, 98, like they still had computer labs full of Spark stations and your home account was just on a share.
Yeah, that was way my CS classes worked.
Like mounting it over NFS or whatever. So you just could go into any computer lab and sit down to, like, some of those labs had like probably 100 or 200 terminals in a gigantic room.
I did not go to that nice a school. Yeah.
Well, it was an engineering school. Like almost everybody except for people like me in the very tiny liberal or like the humanities section of the school needed computers to do their work on constantly. And this was before everybody just had a computer. Anyway, but you would log in and you would just have all your desktop environment settings and files and stuff anywhere on campus. It was so cool.
The neat thing was when you learned how to do Cygwin, which I think came a little bit later. I can't remember, and then you could remote into those and get an X shell and the whole thing across a modem connection, because it would just send the parameters of the window. And then Cygwin would draw the windows for you. It was bonkers.
Like remote X is like a super weird, cool concept to me, which I think is mostly out of use at this point. But like the idea that the like kind of the math of your GUI was happening remotely, and then it was just sending like window positional data and stuff to the client to draw is so crazy.
Yeah, I think at this point it's faster and cheaper to just send a H.264 stream of your desktop than it is to do all that work. But anyway,
totally, and like that's kind of what bums me out. Stuff has gotten so good that a lot of this cool stuff is no longer necessary.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. It turns out.
Yeah, overall things are way, way better now, but I might have to make an account on one of these and mess with it a little bit.
I've got another email if you want while you look for the next cue.
Sure.
John from Winston-Salem writes in and says, hey, I really enjoyed listening to you talk about what's happening under the hood of the recent explosion in machine learning. I'm sure you've heard the following several times already, but I thought I'd add a comment out of some degree of professional pride. I'm an applied linguist whose PhD is in corpus linguistics. And while linguists usually avoid prescriptive language recommendations, I wanted to offer that most often within corpus linguistics and related areas, the word corpus is usually pluralized as corpora. Interesting. There's some variation on which syllables in corpora are stressed when the word is spoken. So I'm sure I messed that up. Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Huh. Okay. All right.
It makes sense.
That's good to know. I have never heard that word before. I'm looking it up right now. Yes, sure enough. Plural noun corpora. Should I have Google pronounce it for me?
Sure. Why not? Can we hear that?
Oh, it only pronounces singular, I think.
Oh.
Anyway. Okay. Oh man, here's one that I have to read.
Okay.
We could have paired this with the earlier coffee question, but anyway, Chayat, I'm gonna say is the username. I can't stand the taste of coffee. I've tried it in a few guises, and it's always vaguely foot-flavored mud water to me. I am fine with this. What I feel like I'm missing out on is a whole culture of pretentiousness around it, how it's made, where it's grown, etc. Do you guys have any suggestions as to what other beverage I can be snobby about instead? Being English, I'm of course a tea drinker, but my tastes in this regard are very simple and widely shared. I also don't drink alcohol very much. Now here is the real reason I wanted to read this. I've considered open cola, but I don't know if I'm quite douchey enough for that. Oh, maybe that would be a good FossPod episode.
What's open cola?
What is open cola?
Oh wow.
Okay, it is exactly what you think it is. It's open source cola. It's quite literally an open source soda.
Oh man. Okay. I'm gonna.
Oh, is this legal? Can you actually call food open source? I'm not sure.
I don't know if it's licensed, but
open recipe. I believe I found this appears to just be some user's repo, not necessarily an official one, but like I found an open cola GitHub repo.
What is it says mix this according to the recommended safety precautions. There's nothing in here. Well, maybe there is.
Dude, yeah. Open cola is GPL'd.
Yeah, of course. It's a Cory Doctorow thing.
Okay. I like Doctorow.
I like Doctorow.
His Twitter output is a little verbose sometimes for me.
I actively I don't follow him on social media anymore because he just writes a bunch on his blog during the day and then reposts it all in a stream on Twitter at night, and it's kind of annoying.
Okay.
But I like the thing about Cory is he was complaining about he straight up said, hey, this DRM shit is going to be problematic. Here's why. And he could not have been more right 10 years later.
Yeah. He is pretty perceptive about a lot of techno social trends and so forth. I should mention there's also a peer-to-peer content sharing and discovery network called Open Cola, which is
that makes sense.
Something totally different. But they're straight up as open source soda, and sure.
I look, if they have open source OK Cola, I'm back in.
Yes. If I can make open source Jolt, can I exceed the legal 74 milligram limit of caffeine?
Look, I'm going to go ahead and tell you don't want that. You don't want that.
User free and open user extensible soda is the only way forward. You can put as much caffeine as you want in there.
I have everything I need to make this. I'd have to get some of the oils.
Okay. What's in the recipe?
It's
open.
I'll share it right here. It's 10 grams of food grade gum arabic, which is a thickener, I think. 3.5 milliliters of orange oil, 3 milliliters of water, 2.75 milliliters of lime oil, 1.25 milliliters of cassia oil, which is a kind of tree nut, I think, or it's a species of cinnamon. 1.0 milliliters of lemon oil, 1.0 milliliters of nutmeg oil, 0.25 milliliters of coriander oil, 0.25 milliliters of neroli oil, which is another, it's a blossom of the bitter orange tree, and 0.25 milliliters of lavender oil. And then you take that flavoring and you add that to 2.36 kilograms of table sugar, 2.3 liters of water, 30 milliliters of caramel color, 17.5 milliliters of phosphoric acid or citric acid, 75%. That's a high concentration of acid, but whatever. 10 milliliters of the flavoring formula from above, and 2.5 milliliters of caffeine, which is optional.
It's extensive.
And then you mix that with soda water to make the finished drink. The picture of this on Wikipedia does not look particularly appetizing.
No, it's weirdly faint in color.
It looks a little brown.
It looks like kind of very watered down coffee or something.
Yeah. I would say most of the people I know that got really into beer or coffee 20 years ago, 20 or 10 years ago, respectively, are now super into weed. And if you ask them about that, they'll tell you about their favorite strains and strands. And they'll be like, this one has more psychoactives and this one has, and it's just exhausting.
That checks out.
Yeah.
That checks out. All right. Next question. Evie Nix writes in, if space was not a concern and you were presented with the chance to purchase a payphone, would you? If so, what would you do with it?
No.
She didn't say money is also not a concern, but if I can assume that space and money are functionally infinite, then absolutely. 100%.
What would you do? Would you hook it up to like?
I just look at it. Again, just to be extremely clear, space is not a concern because because I wouldn't put anything in it because I want it to look cool and like it should, but that is a pretty big footprint.
Are you talking about like a phone booth, like one that you can open the door and get into?
Yes.
Okay, I would do that.
My reasoning, yes, absolutely. My reasoning here is that primarily Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure made the phone booth so cool.
That's true.
And secondarily, The Matrix also made the phone booth pretty cool.
Yeah, I just think it would be really hard to clean an actual phone booth to the point that I'd want to have it in my house.
I guess so. Also, are we talking American phone booth, like the big old boxy one?
The big red the Doctor Who style British ones would be cool.
The classic British phone booth is quite a different thing.
I would take a 70s style, like aluminum frame with the collapsing inner door. That sounds okay to me.
Hang on. I need to Google a picture of the Bill and Ted phone booth now. Yep. That's pretty much exactly what I would want.
I think I really remember when we had that phone in the basement of the Whiskey Media office that anybody could just call us on?
Uh-huh.
Oh, Brad, did you just find out how much they cost?
I just found a place that is making and selling repro Bill and Ted's Excellent phone booths.
That doesn't surprise me.
Would you like to know the price?
I bet they're $10,000.
That's pretty close. $9,345.
And I bet they're another $500 to ship, probably.
Probably. This looks way too clean, though. You would have to grunge this thing up.
Put some sticker. You need a Misfits sticker on there,
like some graffiti on there. Just smear some axle grease or
little
something.
Chalk dust.
This one's a little too pristine for me.
I would like to I liked having the thing that anybody could just call us on in the office. I thought that was kind of nice.
That was an interesting thing.
I don't think I'd want that in my house.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Maybe one day when the TechPod empire expands to include physical space, we will put a phone booth in.
I kind of miss working in an office a little bit.
I'll tell you, entering my 8th year of doing this, I would love to have an office I could go to 2 days a week.
Wow, I forgot you had a whole company before COVID.
Yeah,
that also was work from home.
Well, I mean, it coming to see you on Saturday mornings to record this podcast, going to the test head office to record This Is Only a Test or Still Entitled or whatever, gave me as much human contact. It gave me one or two outings a week, and it turns out that's good. Yeah,
that sounds about right. 5 days a week, maybe not.
Yeah, not having an hour in the car each way every day was great.
Yes.
Not coming in for half a day, once a week, twice a week. I'd take that.
Yeah. All right. Next question here. Let's do this one from Xander. I'm very tempted by all this NAS talk, but I don't have a place to put a noisy drive array. I have an aging work experiment of 4 1 terabyte SSDs, but that's not a lot of storage. Should I try and build a newer version of that, or have traditional drives gotten way quieter?
I put mine in the garage so I don't have to hear it.
Yeah. You homeownered your way out of this problem. I mean, I've had this NAS sitting here in the corner of this room for the last 5-ish years. When I had 5400 RPM Reds in there, Western Digital Reds, I basically did not hear it. It's in a pretty old Fractal Define Mini case, which has decent soundproofing on it. and it's also like it's behind my desk, which has like big solid panels. So there's like some physical, obstruction. But that's like maybe 5 feet away, maybe 6. And like I switched to 7200 because that's all they make at the size I bought when I upgraded the storage in there. Those I hear. So apparently, also real quick, were you aware of this? Apparently, the bigger the drive, the noisier.
Well, I mean, the arms have to go further, right?
Yeah, it's more. I guess it's more. Well, or I don't know, or maybe it's more platters or something. I don't know what. I think
they're moving more often usually.
Yeah.
You can set most drives to be quiet. There's quiet mode. You can set in the firmware for most drives that reduces. You lose a little bit of seek time because the arms move less aggressively, and so it means there's less clicking.
What?
Yeah, but you can set a quiet mode on the firmware for most drives. It's a flag on the. You set it up when you mount the drive, I think, on Linux. I can't remember.
Okay, so yeah, these large 7200 RPM drives I put in here are pretty noisy, but if you stick to 5400 RPM, I think, and have some kind of decent soundproofing in the enclosure, I think you'll probably be fine.
The other thing I was going to say is if you spin, so the one thing I will say is like your Synology NAS or whatever is going to be loud. Probably they make consumer-ish models and you can set them to loud or quiet mode for cooling. I think my hunch is that if you like, I have mine set on full blast for the fans all the time. I'm paranoid about hard drive temperatures though, because like one of the surefirest ways to destroy your hard drives is to let them get hot and stay hot over a long period of time. So anyway. The thing that most people hear on the hard drives is the seeking arm moving back, snapping back and forth, and then also the spin up and spin down. So if your drives are spinning all the time, you tend to not hear that as much as if they're turning on and off.
That's exactly it. When the NAS is idling, even with these newer drives, I hear nothing. It's just when they're seeking, but that can be. It was actually like vibrating the case that they're the seeking, the movement. The mechanical stuff was so violent that it was actually like vibrating everything.
If you get a case that has rubber grommets on the hard drive mounts, that helps with that.
This did, and that still wasn't enough. But the grommets were on removable metal trays, so there was metal on metal in there.
Yeah, metal on metal is bad.
I bought some felt tape and lined the runners on the trays, and that helped kind of brace stuff a little bit. So that's helped. I have a question for you and also anybody listening to this.
Yes.
I'm just going to crowdsource my troubleshooting here real quick.
So this is from Brad in San Francisco, is what you're saying?
That's right. So I don't know if I've talked about it on here. I just bought a little 4-bay USB hard drive enclosure. It looks like a tiny PC, honestly. It quite literally looks like a little miniature tower case. And they look kind of rugged and industrial like old tower cases used to look.
Love it.
And I gather that it's got a tiny little power supply in there that it looks like.
Did you just plug in like a 3-prong AC plug-in? Okay.
So I've just noticed even when it is off, if it's plugged into power at all, it's making this little rhythmic kind of, I guess I would describe it as a popping sound every, let's say, half a second. It's very faint, but it sounds electrical.
Does it have a fan?
Ring bells? No, it does have a fan, but this is literally like plug it into the wall and it immediately starts.
Does it have a toggle switch, or there's no like power on off on the power supply?
It does have this is off. It has a power switch. So this is 100% off. Just plugged it. Like you pull the plug out of the wall, it stops. You stick the plug back in.
I don't like that.
And there are even with no drives in there, it's definitely coming from the electronics somewhere.
I do not like that.
It's very faint, but it's a little concerning to me.
Conceptually, that feels bad to me.
Yeah. Okay.
That is the kind of thing I would probably call the manufacturer and be like, hey, this is making a noise.
Yeah, I guess I could engage with them. They're not a well-supported.
I assume it's a Southeast Asian kind of like, hey, we bought some shit at the Shenzhen electronics markets and rebadged it.
It may have a warranty on it. Yeah, like it's made by Syba, SYBA, if anybody's familiar with them.
Oh, yeah.
Like it showed up with the badge of a different company on the front.
Yep.
It's like that situation. And the other thing, I mean, doesn't really matter, but I bought it like 3 months ago and haven't actually gotten around to like deploying it. So I've never even really actually used it. And now I'm worried that it's like electrically dangerous or something.
Where did you buy it? Did you buy it from Amazon?
Newegg. And it's way past return.
I was going to say, look at Google the part number and clicking and see what comes up is where I would start probably.
Okay. Yeah. So like trying to Google like electric, any kind of like sound popping something. It's you get nothing but speaker interference results. So it's been very hard to try to troubleshoot what's going on here.
So it's making noise without drives in. It sounds like it could be the power supply turning on and off or something like that. Like there's a solenoid in there.
It's very faint. I hope it's not a problem. I mean, the noise isn't what worries me. Is this thing going to catch on fire? Is what worries me.
When you turn it off, when you have drives in it, does it do it still? Because it could be a situation where like AC/DC power supplies that use in computers need to have a certain amount of load, and if it's expecting load from a hard drive in there and it's not seeing the hard drive load, it could be turning the power supply on and off to avoid damaging it.
So it's faint enough that if the drives were spinning, I don't think I'd be able to hear it.
Okay.
I've only been able to hear it when the power on the unit is switched off.
I would put a drive in that is like a old drive and see what happens. See if it still does it. Okay.
I think it'll probably be hard to hear if it's doing it or not with even one drive in there. But
anyway,
any electrically inclined folks out there have advice.
Yeah, my guess is the power supply is flipping on and off.
Okay,
and it's making a capacitor noise.
Yeah. Mattbot question: are either of you plant people? If so, any techie solutions for light or water?
I have a self waterer on the garden, but that's it.
Outside?
Yeah. So it turns on and off. Like if it rains, it doesn't water. It doesn't. It's drip stuff that we put around the base of the tomatoes and stuff, and it only fires if it's not been a certain amount of wet for a certain number of days.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
I am definitely a plant person to the extent that I love having them around. I'm terrible at taking care of them.
It's hard. The problem, honestly, it's like devices and batteries, right?
Yeah.
Like a
certain amount of maintenance.
A smartwatch that I charge every night is no problem. A smartwatch that I have to charge every 2 days, I never remember to, half the time I forget to charge it.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. I can see it. My girlfriend, I have to give credit, is like amazing at.
She's amazing on a lot of reasons. She's in general.
She's good at a lot of things. Yeah. She's very good at like resuscitating. We had a ficus, Fred the ficus.
Oh no. You killed Fred?
No, Fred was on his last legs. I mean, like skeletal.
Yeah.
3 or 4 years ago. And that thing is just exploding in leaves now. It's like we have to trim Fred. He grows a little too fast.
I brought a lemon tree back to life, which was pretty exciting. Okay. Yeah. It had black fungus, which is a thing that happens here on the coast.
The last thing I'll say, I like having a desk plant behind my monitors. I like something like say 3 to 4 feet tall that can sit on the desk behind the monitor and just provide some greenery in your sight line.
Yeah.
I've been buying little bamboo for years so this room gets no natural or like no direct sunlight at all.
Yeah.
Which is not a great place to work for 10 hours a day.
Well, I mean, when you need to see screens, it's pretty nice. But other than that, yeah.
Yeah. But so the point is, though, it's like bamboo seems to do okay with no direct light, but some amount of indirect. But I don't know if it's like I'm storing them in too small a vase or something, but they always die after like 3 or 4 years. Like it'll grow very nicely. It'll gain 2-3 feet of height.
Yeah.
And then just die randomly for some reason. So I'm actually on the hunt for any other desk plants that do well without direct sunlight. If people have suggestions.
I used to have a Scheffalera in here. And then when I started doing VR stuff, I got rid of it because I kept knocking it over.
Okay.
Like honestly, if I had more wall space, I would love to have like a greenery wall.
Yes.
That's just like a bunch of ferns and stuff, like low, like bottom of the forest type plants.
Yeah. Wall plants are cool.
Yeah. But I don't have enough wall space as it is.
Yeah. Plants are good.
Plants are good. I like
seeing some greenery. Like, dude, it's a little bit of a tangent here, but since it's actually rained here again.
Yeah.
For the first time in like 5 years.
Yeah.
Everything is so green out there right now.
Look,
like I feel like I genuinely, when we go on walks right now, like I feel it in my soul. There's like actual grass and greenery all over the place. And it's like such an amazing change.
When Maximum PC was trying to recruit me to move out here from ours, they flew me out in February And I came out and I was like, man, this is unbelievable. Everything's so green and lush. It's so pretty all the time. This is amazing. And like, of course we're coming from East Coast winter. So it was warm. I was like, this is freaking awesome. We should move here. And then I looked at what houses cost. I was like, oh, hell no. False advertising because it's green 1 month a year and brown the rest of the time. B, the tree pollen right now is so friggin' nuts that I have allergies. My wife and daughter don't have allergies. Everybody in our family is stopped up right now because when you walk out in the morning and look at the car is just dusted yellow from all the tree pollen. I'm
glad to hear it's not just me. I've also been having some weird nose stuff going on that I assumed was plants getting a little too excited.
Look, I was hopped up on goofballs yesterday because I couldn't. I was so stopped up I couldn't sleep. Right.
That'll happen.
Anyway, it sucks.
Yeah. That's what had me end up with sinus surgery.
Yeah.
It's no good.
No.
Anyway, I think it's time.
Okay. What you got?
I think the time has come. You know what time it is. It's cake batter time.
Okay. Let's have it.
These are getting really elaborate.
Oh, yeah. It's almost like we're encouraging the cake batter.
All right. As a joke, a goblin handcuffs your legs to a chair. The hardware store is 10 blocks away and the next bus stop away from where you currently are. You are at a bus stop. Do you walk to the hardware store or take the bus? Also, the hardware store refuses to lend you a set of bolt cutters and makes you buy some. That's capitalism, baby.
So I'm standing. I'm sitting on the chair kind of, but my legs are attached to the chair. So if I want to walk, I have to kind of penguin waddle is what I'm assuming here.
He didn't specify actually. Are you so bound to this chair that you can't stand up from it?
I think I don't think how would I get on the bus?
Yeah, that doesn't work. It's got to be. I don't know. Loose enough that you can at least ambulate.
I feel like if my legs were handcuffed to the chair, I couldn't lift my legs up. I'd have to do a pull up to get onto the bus. Unless maybe it was like a handicap accessible ramp type situation.
If I can walk freely enough, I'm going to walk the 10 blocks.
Oh, I would take the bus.
And also, we didn't specify what kind of chair here, assuming it's like a chair that
I assume it's like a wooden frame chair, not like a recliner or something.
Or like a cafeteria chair or something.
It has to have a cross piece in the front. Otherwise, the handcuffs would just come off the bottom when you lift the chair up.
Yeah, fair. Something carryable is what I mean. Like small and light enough that you could carry it, I assume, or this choice wouldn't work. I would. Also, it's pretty hard to bolt cutter through handcuffs. Would be easier to just get a small metal shim and jimmy them open. Probably would be my advice. Fair.
Yeah. Then you get free handcuffs too, so you got that going for you.
Maybe this is too much time spent riding the 38 in San Francisco, but you are not getting a chair onto that bus in addition to yourself.
Yeah, I feel like you would definitely be an enemy of the people if you walked on with like a chair attached to you onto any of the buses I've ever ridden in San Francisco.
Yeah. And that's assuming there was even enough room to get it on in the first place.
Well, I can imagine the look the bus driver would give you, and it would be like, what the fuck are you thinking, man?
Mm-hmm.
Just don't waste my time with this. I don't have time for this nonsense.
Yes. Don't step with this chair.
Yeah.
Okay, you go to a fancy restaurant and you see a corn dog listed under the main dishes for $21.
Oh, hell yeah.
Would this intrigue you enough to order it?
Fuck yeah.
What would you consider a gourmet corn dog to be? There can be more than one corn dog on the plate when it arrives.
Look, if I go to a fancy restaurant and see a corn dog on the plate, I am 100% ordering the corn dog, even if it's just a taster for the table.
I think he nailed it. I think like $21 corn dog has got me interested enough that I need to know.
Yeah, is it like a bespoke hot dog? Are they making the hot dog by hand in the back? Is it some sort of like a novel cornmeal batter? Is it just a really elevated good corn dog? Who knows?
Possible. It's probably could just be the best batter you've ever tasted. I'm Googling deconstructed corn dog now to see if there's or how about fine dining corn dog?
Yeah.
Somebody has the French Laundry ever served a corn dog?
I don't think the French Laundry would have served a corn dog. They
don't roll that way.
No, French Laundry will deconstruct something French and fancy, but probably not corn dog would be my experience.
Let's see.
Maybe there's like a foie gras corn dog. But I don't think so. I feel like a fine dining corn dog. There's a lot of pictures with aioli and stuff on top. I'm seeing This is a pretty fancy. This one looks like a hush puppy with a stick on it, basically.
Yeah, I'm kind of seeing some stuff here.
I like
Cary, North Carolina.
Yep, that's
adjacent to my old stomping ground. The Heron restaurant has a gourmet corn dog, which, yes, definitely looks kind of like a hush puppy with a little fancy toothpick in it and like some like pineapple sort of puree on top. I wonder what the meat is.
The Korean
looks
corn dogs. That's a street food thing that I've had in LA sometimes, like food trucks and stuff. And it's like they put it's like sweet and salty. So the outside is covered with sugar and salt, and then you put mustard and ketchup on it, and there's stuff inside, gooey stuff inside, in addition to the dog. That
sounds really good.
It's pretty good. Also, they don't have to have hot dogs in them in Korea, apparently. I didn't know that.
Oh, wait. It has to be some kind of meat, though, right?
This one looks like it's just cheese.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, fair. Looks like this fancy, this gourmet hot dog or gourmet corn dog. It looks like they're making their own sausage to put in there. I don't know why this popped into my head when I see like $21. Corn dog 3 ways. Like if that was 3 corn dogs, each one a different take on the corn dog, I think that would be worth $21.
I mean, look, realistically, right now, what it costs to buy any food in San Francisco, is like $21 isn't that expensive for like if you get a burger someplace that you have a table to sit down and it's not McDonald's, it's gonna be $21.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. We kind of basically don't eat out anymore. Not that we never did much, but we kind of never do anymore.
We do a lot of takeout. We do a lot of like Thai and stuff like that, stuff that we don't make at home.
Like we're kind of not even buying eggs right now, which makes me want to die because I can't live without eggs. But
they've gotten less expensive here.
Have they?
Yeah.
Okay.
The price is down for us.
The thing of eggs we were typically buying was up to like $18 at one point.
Holy shit, that is crazy. The most we paid was $8, I think. $9.
It's a lot of eggs.
Okay.
It's bulk eggs, but still, that was still like double.
The thing that we do, like I'll do. Okay, I ordered sushi the other night for dinner, which was kind of expensive, but
yes, that will happen.
Totally worth it. Anyway,
okay, all right, sure.
You got one more?
One more cake.
Whatever you feel like.
Gosh, there's a lot to choose from here. I don't know. Did the corn dog one? Let's see. I don't know. I'm spoiled for choice here. If you were both in a horror movie and one of you had a cell phone and one had a gun, who do you think would die first?
Hold on. What is that one? Say that again.
If you were both in a horror movie, one of you had a cell phone and the other had a gun, who do you think would die first?
I would die first in a horror movie.
Wow. You think?
Yeah, I think so.
Huh.
You have a well-honed survival instinct, and I tend to make bad choices in those situations. So? Yeah. Look, anybody who's watched me play PUBG or Fortnite, I have a very clear and well-defined death wish.
Hey, only the paranoid survive.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I am curious and willing to take risks. It's why I love those extraction shooters so much, because I make the bad choice, and it often is hilarious and good, but sometimes it goes real bad. So,
sometimes you have to YOLO.
I'll always take the low percentage chance for the content,
Well, the stakes are pretty low there, to be fair.
That's true. I mean, I don't know, man. A DMZ game, it takes like 4 or 5 minutes to get back in the next game because they have so fucking many menus.
Fair. That is fair.
But yeah,
why did no whammies drop out of common parlance?
Because you could cheat at you know what no whammies is from, right?
I don't even know. I've heard it before, but I couldn't actually tell you officially what it means.
Okay, no whammies is from an 80s game show called Press Your Luck.
Okay.
There was the way the game show worked was there was a big board that was like it looked like a board game board. It was like a circular track, a square track around the edge of a big square, and the players would earn spins on that board, and the lights would go around the board and light up, and when you hit the plunger, the light would stop on one of the boxes around the edge of the board, and that's what you would win. And I think you won spins by doing trivia questions, something. I can't remember that part. The problem was the board was a predictable pattern. It wasn't random because it was all just electronics. So whoever made the board made it go in the same pattern all the time. So somebody who was good at it could hit the expensive space every single time. And that's what ended up happening toward the end of the run of that show. And then they had to change the board or they canceled the show. So I can't remember how it was. Like, game show drama is a whole different realm of drama than the other dramas we've covered on the podcast. But yeah, so no whammies. The hey, lose your spin. If you hit the whammy, you lost the rest of your spins or lost your turn, whatever. And so people would say the thing they would shout as they were getting ready to hit the plunger and staring intently at the board, trying to suss out the pattern, was no whammies, no whammies, no whammies, no whammies, and stop. And then, once the whammy was a little red, kind of devilly looking guy. He was, he had capes. Usually if you hit a whammy, there was like a little cute cartoon that they'd like video toaster up on the bottom of the screen. He'd come across and steal their money and take their turns. So
that sounds fun.
Yeah, it was like, man, it was of the careers that I am jealous of. Game show designer in the 80s is one of them.
I knew you were going to say designer and not host.
No, never host. Although the microphone and maybe.
The Bob Barker microphone is pretty awesome. But
yeah,
getting to make the stuff that they used would be the fun part.
Yeah, coming up with like the horrible things you could make people do to win $500 in 1987. Pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, I blame Ronald Reagan for the people's hunger for petty cash.
Mm-hmm. But I blame him for a lot of things.
Yeah, it turns out. But also the game shows were pretty good back then. It was best part about a snow day was staying home. Mm-hmm. You get to watch a game show. Like, the bad time was always when the soap operas flipped on. Is my memory of that.
Definitely.
I have a couple of dead hours of TV before X-Men were on. But anyway.
Yes. To answer the question, I'm going to say, why did it fall out of favor? Because it's from the 80s. And no matter how young you are right now, one day everything you knew will turn to dust.
Yeah, at some point, everybody who's ever seen an episode of Press Your Luck will be dead. Grim, but real.
Yes. We're here to answer the tough questions. But I think we've run out of time for questions.
No whammies, Brad. No whammies this week.
No whammies.
Let's do the thing we do at the end of the show where we thank our patrons. Thank you, patrons.
Yeah, thank you, patrons.
I've enjoyed getting to know our patrons a little bit more on the TechPod Mastodon at mastodon.content.town this last week. The local and federated feeds are filled with interesting things and then an occasional biological necessity. Thank you to everyone involved. We would like to thank all of our patrons, as always, but we would especially like to thank our executive producer tier patrons, because Brad Will Made a Tech Pod is a 100% patron supported show. Without you all, we wouldn't be here. So thank you to everybody, but thank you especially to Nick Johnston, Paddle Creek Games, makers of Fractured Veil, Andrew Slosky, Octothorpe, Bunny Crimes, Just Wedge, Joel Krauska, Twinkle Twinkie, David Allen, and James Kamek. Brad, this weekend, I got texts from several mutual friends of ours at the same time that were like, who the hell is Octothorpe Bunny Crimes? And they were all gathered together in a get together. They were asking these questions, and they were like, the only way we can find this out is to ask Will. And I was like, I honestly don't know, because the email address for Octothorpe Bunny Crimes is like, there's no real name associated with this account. That is the real name associated with the account.
Bunny Crimes is everyone and no one.
Bunny Crimes is it could be any of us right now.
I think I'm pretty sure I've mentioned to you, I did not come up with this, but I laughed when I read it. The idea of the Octothorpe Bunny Crimes cinematic universe.
I mean, it encompasses us. My Twitch stream, I think Nextlander stuff probably is impacted.
For sure. I believe Shift F1 might be in there.
Several of my favorite, like Water Dance over on Twitch, is part of the Octothorpe Bunny Crimes cinematic universe.
I enjoy the entertaining the mystery. The questions are usually more fun than answers. So keeping it vague and mysterious is a lot of fun.
Yeah, but we do appreciate the support from everybody, and it does let us continue making the show. And you can find out more about the Patreon at patreon.com/techpod. Again, it's patreon.com/techpod. And I have investigated the ghost thing. I think at some point we'll set up the ghost. If people are interested in that, like there was
give up the ghost.
No, we're not going to give up the ghost. We want to move everybody to ghost. But people were very supportive of that idea, and like getting us the slightly larger cut is a nice thought. So
yeah, I
think that'll do it for us this week. Next week, some secret thing that we can't talk about now, but we'll be able to talk about then, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, is
it secret?
No, I don't think so. It's the PlayStation VR 2.
Oh, well, never mind then. I feel like a jerk.
Reviews are out, and it will be out by then.
Do people like it?
Seems like it.
Okay.
I have not had a chance to try it as of the time of this recording, but people seem very bullish on the hardware. It's really just the paucity of games launching with it.
I mean,
it's kind of Horizon Call of the Mountain and a lot of stuff that has been out or is also coming out on other headsets.
Is Facebook releasing Beat Saber on it?
Beat Saber's been out on original PSVR.
Yeah, I know, but there's no back compat, right?
Yeah, I don't think the update is going to be out for launch. Some games are getting updated for launch, but I don't think it's...
Oh, it is coming to PSVR too.
It is, yeah, but I don't know if sorting out what's launching on release day and what's coming within like a month or two has been kind of tough. Because like even stuff like Gran Turismo 7 and Resident Evil 8 are getting VR modes. Like a lot of existing stuff is going to get like an upgrade, or you can like pay $10 in some cases to get the new version. Not a lot of truly exclusive software besides Horizon.
The launch window scam continues.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, this is going to come out inside the launch window. The launch window is 3 years long, by the way.
They were pretty good on the PlayStation blog. I'll give them credit. They defined the launch window as basically in the first month after launch.
Oh, okay, that's not too bad.
Totally reasonable window.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's hard to get. Console games are hard, it turns out.
Yeah, no, I don't begrudge anyone not being able to ship a video game.
As a former VR dev, like the PC VR has always been the fastest and loosest of the development platforms. Mm-hmm. And going from there to a real ass console game cert process is hard. So
yeah, we'll dig into it next week.
I'm excited to hear about it.
I'm going to try to find info on some people have gotten their hands on it early and people are already plugging it into USB-C ports on computers to see what that does. Like there's some interesting stuff to talk about there.
It's like a DualSense.
So, yeah, we'll get into it next week.
Cool. That sounds great. I will talk to you then. See everybody next week. Thanks for listening. Bye.